Hello, welcome back to my tutorial on SketchUp Make, SketchUp Pro, and primarily SketchUp for schools. Alright, I'm going to try to review some things within this. Some of the work I'm going to do is going to try to refresh you. It's going to refresh you on some of the things we've already covered. I'm going to try to move a little quickly here so that we can not make this video too long. First off, let's start by going here to decimal inches, as I require my students to do. You don't have to at home, but you can if you want to try to make sure your work looks like mine. I'm going to delete this person I'm now going to call Edith for now on, because the glasses and outfit really, for some reason, popped in my head as being Edith. I'm going to select this top view right here so that I'm looking straight down on it. I'm going to briefly talk about the three things you can do with your scroll wheel mouse, because I do have students that are having some difficulty with this, and I want to make sure you understand. With the scroll wheel mouse, if I just draw a quick rectangle on here, you should be able to zoom in and out with the scroll wheel. As you're rolling the scroll wheel, it should zoom in and out. As you push down on the scroll wheel, it should do this. It should do what's called orbiting. If you hold the shift key while orbiting, it should pan. If your scroll wheel mouse is not doing that, you probably want to go out and get a different one that does work properly for you. All right, let me go back to that top view. Today we're primarily going to be talking about the Move tool, but I'm going to incorporate some of the things that we've already learned into this assignment to kind of practice those. You should expect that in the future, that each assignment should include things you've done in the past in an effort to try to reinforce those. So we're actually going to start out with the line tool, and I'm going to have you click down here in this area here and move this direction, and we're going to type 12, enter. Then I'm going to zoom in on it. I'm going to come over this way. Let's go 16, enter. I'm going to come down this way. I'm moving on the green axis. It doesn't matter how far I go, by the way. And I'm going to type 7, enter. And I'm going to then come over here, and I'm going to close this shape and click. Okay, so we're not going to talk about inferencing. If you'd like to learn about inferencing, you should go back and watch the first video. So I've made a shape here, and just to make so that those, especially my students, but anybody else that wants to check this, you can grab this the tape measure here and check these measurements. That should be 12 inches. This should be 16 inches. This should be 7 inches, and this measurement should be 16.7 approximately. That little symbol next to the 16 means approximately. This is approximately 16.76 inches long, is what that should end up being. I'm going to go ahead and have you grab the push-pull tool, come up on this thing. Let's go up 12 inches. Okay. I have now at this point rotated a little bit, so it's looking at it from the side. I have no idea why that just happened. I'm going to do the selection tool, get rid of that. All right, so I have this object now, 12, 16, I believe 7, and about 16 inches, and it's 12 inches tall. Okay. Okay, and the next thing I want to talk about is the selection tool. With the selection tool, remember, if you want to select something like this, you can go around it in either direction, left or right. If you go all the way around it, it's going to select it. That's fine. But if you go around from right to left, it's only going to select the things that is touching. So it did not select these two lines or that oh, it did touch that surface. But it didn't select these two lines. So if I try moving that thing, it's not going to work. Oh, it did actually work. It shouldn't have worked, but maybe it has to do with the fact that almost everything had... Oh, it had to do with the fact that everything had been selected except for that surface and that line, and it got dragged around. One way or the other. To select the entire object, you have a couple choices. You can go from right to left and go all the way around the object, or right to left, go all the way around the object. Or you can do what's called triple clicking. Once again, from previous videos, if you click once, it selects the surface. You click twice, it selects the surface and all the bounding edges or the lines that make up that surface. If you click 3 times, it selects everything. But you have to click boom, boom, boom. You can't do boom, boom, boom. So boom, boom, boom doesn't work. But boom, boom, boom does work. Okay? So I'm going to have you guys, if you're following along, select the entire object in whichever way you want to do. Right-click on the object and make a group. Okay? All right, so now we're going to be working with this group. All right, so this is where we're going to get into the new content. We're going to go down to the Move tool here. And I'm going to take a moment to show you what people do wrong, because they do it wrong all the time. I'm going to copy and paste this by typing Control-C and Control-V, which is once again another standard thing you can do in most programs. And I'm going to show you what most students do. And my big picture here that I want you to take out of this is that please don't spend an hour, 2 hours trying to do the work from my videos without going back and rewatching the video a couple times along the way. Because if it's taking you an hour to do what I've done in this video, then there's something you missed in the video. And if you've missed it, you need to go back and learn that so that you can do it easier. None of my videos should take you more than 20 minutes to do if you have in fact learned what it is I wanted you to learn in the video. And since our goal is not to create whatever image it is, your goal is not to create whatever it is I created. Your goal should be to learn what it is I wanted you to learn. Here's what students have done over the years, and they just keep doing it. And I just really would, and it makes me sad when I think about how much time they spend trying to do it. They will want to put this object on top of this object. And they will continuously grab the object and then try to figure out a way to get this on top of that. They will try to get clever and creative and try to do like that. It's so close. I need to move it a little bit. I've actually done a pretty reasonable job, but it's not going to be acceptable. There's nothing I can do to make this acceptable doing it the way that I'm doing it. But they will try, and they will get frustrated because they can't make this happen, and they will try clever things like drawing a line like that, and then thinking, well, if I have that line there, then I can use that to move this thing more accurately and be more careful, and they will spend forever trying to do this. This is not the way, as the Mandalorian would say. Ooh, I wonder if I'm going to be sued by Disney. This is not the way you move things. The way you move things is you have to know an exact location in space and know exactly where that location in space goes, is basically what I'm going to tell you. For this, there's a lot of options here, but I'm going to choose that one right down there, that little corner. That corner right there. Oops, zoomed in too far. That corner right there. I know where that corner needs to go. If I click there, I can now move this thing around by that corner. And I can put that corner exactly where I want that corner to go, which is on that corner. I'll show you that again. I can take this corner and put it onto that corner. And it says endpoint and group, and I moved it accurately and correctly. So when you're moving things, you need to move things specifically. I could even move from the midpoint there to the midpoint there, and it's the same thing. It's fine. There's lots of places I could grab here, but I can't just grab the object wherever I feel like willy-nilly and try to put it where I want. Okay? So lesson number 1 today of importance is know how to move things properly. Okay? Now, when you're moving things, you can also move a copy of things. I'm on the Move tool here. So I'm going to grab this object, and I click, and I go to the right, and it just moves the object. Okay? But if I push down the Control button, Control Z, Control Y. If I take this thing and I hold the Control button, if I push the Control button and then click and move, it makes a copy, and it moves that copy. Now, as I'm moving this copy, I'm going to continue to move the copy. I'm going to take my finger off the Control button, and it goes away. Put my finger back on the Control button, and it does not come back. Ooh, but it did pop back. That's kind of weird because it disappeared, but then it... All right, that's very strange. Okay, I'm going to hold this, I'm going to move it, and it did not move. It just moved the one object. I'm going to hold the Control button down. I'm going to move it, let go, and it moved a copy. Sorry, I'm seeing differences between this and the other program, which I'll show you in a moment. If I hold the Control button, it would usually move only a copy. This is really very annoying because it's not working. That one worked. That one worked. If I hold the button down and click, it did not work. But then it did that. But if I put my origin here and I push my mouse button and then click once, it makes a copy. This is behaving a little bit differently. Let's look at this for a second. Let me just Control Z my way back on this thing. This is SketchUp Make, which works very much like SketchUp Pro. Make that a group. Grab the Move tool. Hold the Control button. I'm holding the Control button and it's moving a copy of it. Now back on this one, holding the Control button and it's not moving a copy. Thus is a difference, which annoys me. Annoys me significantly when I do the exact same thing in two different programs. But if I click with the mouse and I click once with the Control button, it moves a copy. Okay, so once again, I'm going to do that again. I'm going to click and hold down with the mouse button. I'm holding down with the mouse button. I'm going to push the Control button once, and it's going to move a copy instead of moving the entire object. But if you're working in SketchUp, for those of you who are out there working with SketchUp Make up here, it works better in SketchUp Make. Let me show you that. If I hold here, I put the mouse right there. First off, you can see, oh, that's interesting. That if I just put the mouse right there and I push the Control button, there's a little plus symbol. It landed. It's hard to see, but it's right up there next to the origin. And if I click, it'll make a copy. That's interesting. If I put this there, I push the Control button. There's a plus symbol, and I'm willing to bet if I push it again, it's going to disappear. So basically, you can tell it, okay, I'm making a copy with the Control button, or I'm not making a copy by pushing the Control button again. Okay. We're going to revisit this in future videos because I need to move on. All right, so we're going to take this thing right here. We're going to put it right there. I'm going to push the Control button, and the little plus symbol came up. I see it there right next to the word origin. I'm going to move to the right. I'm going to click and move to the right, and I'm going to type 24, enter. So now I've moved it 24 inches to the right. Okay, once again, I'm going to Control Z. I'm going to go to the object. I'm going to, while it's sitting on the object right where I want it, I'm going to push the Control button. That little plus symbol is going to show up. Now I'm going to click and drag to the right. On the red line, you'll see there's a red line there. I'm going to type 24, enter. Now that moved it 24 inches. That's only one of the lessons I want you to learn. It's how to move things accurately, how to move copies of things accurately. But now I want to show you how I can use that movement to create more of those. And I'm going to type 10x, enter, and it's going to make 10 copies for me. So there are 11 shapes here on the screen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I made 10 copies, and I'll do it again quickly. I'm going to go from here. I'm going to push down. I'm going to hover. I'm going to put my mouse right there with the move tool. I'm going to push the Control button, telling it I want to make a copy. Now I'm going to click and move to the right. Let go. Type 24, enter. 10x, enter, and that makes 10 copies. Now I'm going to verify something real quick. I'm going to do something slightly different this time, and I think it's going to do the same thing. I'm going to hold the Control button down. I'm going to click, drag to the right, type 24, enter, just like I did before. Last time I did 10x, enter. This time I'm going to do x10, enter, and it did the exact same thing. So you can either type in 10x or x10. You get the same result. One way or the other, this is where I want you to be at this point. You have 11 copies of this shape, and the shape is very specific. Now what I'm going to have you do is I'm going to have you select everything there. I'm going to have you rotate around like this. I'm zooming out, and I'm going to have you do the same thing you did last time, but I want you to go this way. So I've hovered, push the control button, click, drag that direction, 24, enter, 10x, enter, and now I have an array of, let me come up to the top here, of 24 of these things. Now this brings up a subject we talked about yesterday, which is the zoom extents. I've talked about that in previous videos and how to make that happen, and I know how to make that happen at this point. First way, let's zoom in on this thing. And let's say I wanted to see everything that that I have on my screen. Everything I've created in this file, I want all to show up on my screen. The way to do that is Control Shift E will do that. Zoom extents, Control Shift E. That is one way of doing it. But it annoys me because it's not all on my screen down here, which really bothers me a lot because I really wanted it to show up to end up more like this, where everything is definitely on my screen. But I've verified through this one over here as well that it does the same thing. This was the zoom extents that I was talking about, and you'll see that for some reason it's not like, actually it is probably if I move this thing out of the way. Actually that worked out pretty well. So zoom extents is right down here in SketchUp Make. In SketchUp for Schools, what you're going to want to do is Control Shift E will bring everything onto the screen. Now the other way to achieve this is to, let's say you have some random things out here. And you want everything on, you want to basically, you're way out here or something like that. You can select everything that you want to be centered. In fact, at this point, yeah, let's do that first. I can select everything. I can right click and into, oh, it's down at the bottom, zoom selection, and that's going to bring what I selected into my view. Which also means if I want to ignore all this stuff, I can do this, right click, go to the bottom, zoom selection, and that brings only this stuff into view. All right, there's a little bit of information about that. I'm going to delete all this stuff for right now. I'm going to Control E to bring it all into view. All right, so next thing I want you to do is, I'm going to move a little faster at this point because this video is getting a little long, is I went up to the top view here. I'm going to close that. I'm going to have you practice your selection tools by doing this. I want you to select only the inside squares, but I want you to select all those squares. Okay? You're going to rotate around this way. You're going to grab the Move tool, and you're going to drag it straight up. Make sure you're on the blue axis, 24 inches. And then I'm going to do this, and I'm going to select the next set, making sure I'm only grabbing those ones. I'm going to do the same thing again, the Move tool, making sure I am once again on blue axis. It's very important. If you're not on the blue axis, then you're not controlling where it's going. I want you to be always in control of where your object is going. You do not want to leave things to chance. You'll notice I'm naturally going from right to left because by selecting from right to left, I'm able to make sure that it's selecting everything it touches. I don't have to worry about whether or not everything is completely 100% surrounded or not. Okay, once again, moving in the blue axis, 24, enter. You could also, by the way, do this where you hold the Shift key and you select them manually. That is another way of selecting things. On blue axis 20, and it snapped to 24 inches because it knew what I was planning on doing. So I didn't even have to type 24 on that one, although it didn't work properly. So Control Z. I Control Z because I clearly made a mistake. Actually, I'm only grabbing, at this point, I'm only grabbing the 9. That's why I didn't like what I did, I think. Yeah, I only need those 9, and I'm going to move these things in the blue, on blue axis, 24, enter. And then I'm just going to move that top one up on, see this is green, on blue axis, 24, enter. If I've done this correctly, I've created a perfect pyramid of those shapes. All right. Now, for the purposes of that's your video today. So go ahead and try that, or don't try that. Do or do not. There is no try. Once again, I'm going to get sued by Disney. All right, so that's your video for the day. I hope that you found that useful. And if you are watching this video without watching the first four, that's probably not a great idea. You should go back and review this first four. And I look forward to the next video, number 6. All right, bye, guys.